What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Riding Dad channel video, or welcome if it is your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. I know it probably, if you're a seasoned veteran of the channel, I know it feels like we're making millions of videos about TRASK stuff and it's like every other video, but I promise this is at least one of the last ones, at least the last one on this specific kind of topic. But lots and lots of stuff in this video. I want to talk about some customer service stuff with TRASK and some other stuff I actually talked about personally with TRASK, so let's get to it. Let's roll an intro and we'll dive right in.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a bang you down.
Okay, so the first, if you have seen any of my videos, you know exactly what we're probably going to be talking about. It's going to be stuff with the air cleaner, specifically stuff with internal and external air breather stuff. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I got the TRASK Assault, I think it's called like the Charge or whatever it is. It's their air cleaner. It looks sick, performs great. You know, lots of people have it. I love it. But I got this, and then I wanted to do an external breather. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But I got the external breather, and then there was an issue with the external breather not fully external breathing and still allowing all of the oily mist and everything to get into the internal breather system. And then there was an issue with other guys having issues with customer service and customer service being rude to them and telling them kind of essentially like kind of just shove it, whatever, we don't care almost. And unfortunately somebody wasn't incredibly rude to me as much as they were to other people as far as I understand, but they basically told me maybe a lie, I don't know how you want to talk about it, but some poor customer service happened, right? So, and it's not company specific. TRASK is a gigantic company. They have, you know, I'm sure hundreds and possibly thousands, whatever, people working for them or whatever. So unfortunately, we were just, I don't know if we caught the people on a bad day, you know, whatever. But that was it. So I've never once said the products were bad. I've never once said don't buy TRASK or whatever. Obviously, I bought TRASK, and I even in the comments, if you guys look at it and people say, oh, I'll never buy TRASK again or whatever, I say, well, the products are really good. So don't necessarily let these one or two customer service instances stray you from buying the products, you know. So I've always said TRASK is they always, I mean, obviously they have great products. They've been around forever and their products are proven, which is why I went with them. So yeah, the external breather kit. So then I did a DIY fix on making the external breather kit actually fully external breathe. And then I heard on that DIY fix, I heard a bunch of people said they called TRASK and they sent them something for free or whatever, and it helped it, and it was like they were taking care of us. So I went ahead and I called TRASK. I was like, hey, are you still doing this? They were like, yep, we'll go ahead and take care of you. So then I made another video and said, hey, customer service took care of us. Scratch everything that I said in the past. If this is going on with you, you can do this, and they'll make it right with you, whatever, and everybody will be happy. So takes us to present day right now when we have even more to talk about. So the very first thing I need to do is explain, because I know some people probably don't know, or if they do know, I know a lot of people kind of blind leading the blind kind of thing. Sometimes people don't really understand why or what, they just hear somebody say it and they think they need to do it. So we're going to talk about first why you would want an external breather kit and what it is exactly. So an external breather kit refers to the crankcase pressure that comes out of the breather bolts that are right here. And typically, well, actually, let's talk about what that air is, right? So these are where it vents to, the external crankcase, right? So this is air, or it's air and moisture that is oxygen depleted because it's post-combustion cycle air. This is air that has blown by your rings a little bit. It's excessive crankcase pressure. So this air is very oxygen depleted. It's a little bit moisture, a little bit oily, a mist, right? It's not puking oil, right? Like old time Harley sometimes do, whatever, and every bike is different. Every bike is different depending on how you ride, what you have done to it, just your bike, you know, all of your internals of your bike. Every single engine is different, right? So every bike is different. Your bike might have a lot of this, like my bike did, or your bike might have barely any, you know, like your bike might. So this oily mist, this is what the crankcase vents out when it's excess pressure. So in most air cleaners, pretty much all stock air cleaners. Every stock air cleaner from Harley since I want to say like late 70s or whatever it started, it's an EPA regulation. So this is why they do it. The EPA says you cannot, it's not good. We don't want the oil going out into the atmosphere and air or whatever in street. We don't want more pollution or whatever. So you guys need to internally vent it, essentially. That's basically what's going on. It's an EPA regulation, which is why every single other manufacturer does this too. Harley's not the only one that does this, but the oily mist gets vented back into the air cleaner where it gets sucked back into your intake, and it essentially tries to be burned off during your combustion cycle. Right, so the problem with this is that you're robbing the engine of a little bit of horsepower. I mean, it's not like you're going to gain 20 HPs from this, but you're robbing the engine of a little bit of horsepower because you're taking what should just be fuel to burn and air for the burning cycle and introducing oxygen low air with oily mist and carbon deposits and everything. So you're robbing a little bit of horsepower, and you're decreasing engine performance because you're putting more of a carbon buildup and some more, not wear and tear necessarily, but just gunk in that intake that it doesn't need to be in there necessarily. So if you Google it, there's a whole bunch of pictures and videos and stuff about pre and post external breather kits as far as piston carbon buildup, where you can see what the engine looks like internally and everything. But this is in short what an external breather system does and why you would want one. Now, that being said, do you need one? You don't necessarily need one. This is not something that you don't need this product. I think one of my videos says like, your Harley needs this, right? Everybody knows those are like attention grabber thumbnails, right? So I chose to do it to my bike. You may not choose to do it to your bike. There are guys running 80 and 90,000 miles on decent builds for these bikes, and they have none of these external breather kits, right? This is not something you absolutely need. In my opinion, is it something I value enough for the price, the long-term cons and everything of it? Do I value the pros for it? Yes, absolutely. That's why I did it. That's why I'm sharing everything with you guys, and that's why I'm not recommending you need to do this, because it's a case you choose, right? So we already went over the pros of why you would want to do an external breather kit, or an external breather kit. So now we're going to talk about the cons. One of the cons is you're going to have something to catch that oil, right? So sometimes people vent tubes out, to the bottom of the bike, and because it's barely any oil, you're not talking about like, Dixie cups full of oil every time you ride the bike. You're talking about just a handful of it, and most of it, a lot of that moisture and everything is just water and everything from, condensation and stuff. So you're not really just dumping oil everywhere. So people run tubes, some people run catch cans, which is just a can that collects the oil, you empty out every once in a while. Some people, like me currently, have a little, just like a breather filter, almost like a pod filter, that catches the oil, and then when it's close enough to the engine burns a lot of it off, and then otherwise you could just clean that filter every once in a while. Those are a couple things. So it is a maintenance, something you have to keep up with on maintenance, right? You have to clean the filter or clean the catch can or whatever, something that you have to keep up with. So another thing that a lot of people do prior to getting to the air cleaner external/internal breather stuff is venting the dipstick. I believe it's either fuel motor or fueling, I think it's fuel. But they make a vented dipstick, and that is supposed to alleviate the issue before it even gets to the air cleaner. A lot of guys have really good luck with that. A lot of people say like they swear by it. TRASK does not have something like that. They have what's called their checkmate kind of thing. It's specific to these M8 engines. But what they have is a vented transmission cover. So what that does, according to TRASK, is that it does still alleviate that excess crankcase pressure before it gets to the air cleaner, almost to the point where according to TRASK, almost to the point where you don't need an external breather kit to keep that stuff out of your intake, because it doesn't even get there to there yet. But what it allows you to keep your vacuum, because it's a check valve, so it allows pressure out, but it doesn't necessarily allow pressure back in and out, almost, just like a regular filter with a hose, because there is that valve there that does close and doesn't allow the pressure. So it allows you to maintain the vacuum that that's supposed to be good for your bike to have and everything. So that is something I'm going to look into in the future. So that is a video you guys can look forward to, but that is just kind of a brief overview of external breathers versus internal and, you know, everything that's going on. So that being said, now we're going to talk about the TRASK side of it as far as the external stuff goes. So if you watched my video, or if you didn't, I guess really we're going to talk about it anyway. So there's a big plate that goes behind this air cleaner. It's just a plate, and behind those are the crankcase breather bolts, and then there's the intake right in the middle. So those breather bolts regularly internally vented. There were two. If you didn't watch my video, I recommend watching it because I show you this part in depth, and I show you the difference between the two adapter plates that I'm going to talk about way up close, so you can actually see firsthand exactly what I'm talking about. So, you know, typical video of mine, my stuff will be linked and everything, but definitely try to watch that either before or after this because it'll help you understand, if you don't know what I'm talking about, exactly what we're talking about. So that adapter plate, the internal breather system has two holes where those crankcase breather bolts, they're banjo bolts basically, and they allow the pressure and the oily, misty air and everything to get sucked back into the intake when the crankcase vents that excess pressure and that oily mist form, right? So it goes back into the intake, sucks back in. What the external breather kit did originally from TRASK, with no change to that adapter plate, how they used to sell it, was just have holes in the spacers and allow you to run tubes and everything. The issue with that, if you didn't see my video, was that all of the air and that oily mist garbage was still being sucked in to the intake because there was a suction created. So even though there was larger diameter holes and hoses and everything to vent externally, because there was a suction created by the intake, it was sucking it in through those tiny holes still, and none was getting it into, you know, catch can, external system, whatever you guys had at the time. When I had the filter, nothing was getting in there because it was being sucked all back into the intake from the suction that was created. So this takes us back to when I said that, you know, TRASK sent us stuff for free, and I found out that other people were doing it, so I went ahead and jumped on the wagon. I never once asked for anything for free or whatever before. I didn't try to, you know, bug them or anything, but I heard that TRASK, you know, was given the adapter plates that, I'm pretty sure it's still the adapter plates that they typically ship out with like their turbo systems or whatever to keep all the external away. But it's basically the same exact adapter plate, just with no holes originally drilled. So I did do a DIY fix. Again, you can watch that video where I basically tapped and put set screws in those internal holes with some RTV and red Loctite for those screws, RTV on top of it, sealant to keep the external and not allow it to get in there. But it's way nicer having a solid plate back there, not having to worry about possibly screws deteriorating over time and kind of just crumbling or whatever. But it's way nicer to have a solid plate, obviously. So the adapter plate, like I said, TRASK was sending these out for free. It was what people were commenting on my video. So I did it and I shared the news with you guys because they never give me any hassle at all. They're like, "Yep, we see that you bought it. We'll ship that out." And it was actually shipped out like 3 hours after I got off the phone with them, which I was surprised because I thought it would take like to the end of the week because it was like not a rush thing. But they were super good about it, and I told you guys that, and I shared all that information with you. Where I went wrong with this was I never bothered to talk to TRASK about it, partially because I didn't think they cared about who I was or what I was doing, because they're such a big company and I'm just riding dad. But I actually did wind up talking with somebody from TRASK because there was some on my video, my last video about the customer service, and, you know, asking them for the replacement one or whatever if you had previously bought it. In short, this is what's going on now, right? And this is directly from TRASK, so I can assure you that this is correct information. Like I did, like I said, I did talk to somebody at TRASK finally, so you're getting it first person information versus a he said, she said telephone game kind of thing right now. So if you have previously bought the external breather kit that I had talked about in other videos, the one that didn't fully externally breathe, and you want it to completely externally breathe, versus allowing the stuff to get in there still, like the oily mist and everything. If you previously bought it where it was just the spacers and the hoses and everything, and you want that new adapter plate, you want the adapter plate that does not have the internal holes. If you want that and you do not have it, contact TRASK. They're requesting that you send your old one in, and you're trading basically. So they're requesting that you send your old one in and you get your new one. And from how I understand, I don't believe you have to pay shipping or anything. I believe it's just an equal exchange or whatever, and they'll take care of you. You might have to pay shipping. I don't think so though. I forgot to ask that honestly. But I do know it's a trade. So it's a free, the product itself is free. An alternative to that, I'm sure if you wanted to just outright buy that adapter plate and keep the old one that you had with the internal holes, if you wanted to keep it for whatever reason, for the future possibility or whatever, if you wanted to keep that and just buy the new adapter plate without the holes for full external breathing system, I'm sure they would allow you to do that. Just call them up and ask that. The whole point behind this is I want to make sure I pass along the information correctly and make sure that we don't have a bunch of people, because you guys rock. TRASK actually said they wound up watching all my videos and stuff on it because there were so many people referencing my videos. So I am super happy I can help and try to educate you guys, and well, most of you guys probably know what's going on, but some people that didn't know this existed or what was going on or whatever. So I'm super happy I can share this information and make this much of an impact. I mean, that's awesome. YouTube family and the motorcycle family, this is just awesome. I never thought I'd be in a position like this. So thank you to you guys, but it's awesome. So yeah. I want to make sure that we're not just having everybody say, "TRASK, give me this stuff for free," because that's not what their intention is behind it, right? So we want to just trade, which I think is completely fair and reasonable. I have no problem with this at all. So doing a trade, and then you get the adapter plate with no internal holes at all. So that's where we're at with it right now. I think that is a completely reasonable thing. I don't think anybody would disagree with me at all. Furthermore, if you're going to now purchase an external breather kit post this whole discussion we've had with TRASK and everything, it says call to order on their website as of this morning. I currently making this video and everything. So just call. I believe they'll talk to you about, you know, what your options are if you want to purchase it with that adapter plate, like we're talking about. If you want to purchase it with that adapter plate, or if you want to say, okay, I'll trade, I'll send my old internal vented adapter plate in, and in exchange for the other one. So I believe that's what the call is, but they'll give you the options. They'll explain what you have or whatever. But I'm trying to help you guys out and give you a heads up so there's no hard feelings on either end of it. So TRASK isn't upset that everybody keeps calling and demanding stuff for free and giving them an attitude for whatever reason, and so that you guys are not caught off guard and say, oh well, I thought we were going to do this based on everybody's comments or what everybody said or whatever. So now everybody's on the same page. TRASK was super receptive to it. They talked to me and he was very cool, and he explained everything that was going on. Again, I think this is a 100% reasonable thing. But that's about it, guys. That's really all I have. I wanted to take, I have about 5 videos already filmed, edited, and uploaded to YouTube with everything ready for them. But I wanted to take time and do this. I'm literally filming it the same morning that it's being released. So it's Saturday that I'm releasing it, and I'm filming it this morning on Saturday. I woke up at like 2:30 to film it because we're doing a whole bunch of plans today, and we're leaving the house early. So I wanted to get this out before it gets too late and I have more people calling TRASK and more misunderstandings happening and more this and that or whatever. I wanted to get this out ASAP to do a favor to TRASK to clear some stuff up as far as product negotiation stuff goes, and to do a favor to you guys to, again, give you guys the heads up and have everybody on the same page, right? So I wanted to make sure everybody understands what the external breather system is. Do you 100% need one? Why you would want one? What it does? What the thing with TRASK was? And then going forward, the external breather kit, either swap that you can do or future if you're going to buy it or if you were on the fence about buying it or whatever. So that's where we're at. I appreciate you guys very much for watching. If you have any other questions or comments or whatever, please comment on this video. I love interacting with you guys. If you want to send me a more detailed issue or just say hey or check it out, I do have an Instagram. It is, of course, The Riding Dad is my tag. And yeah, that's about it. Do keep posted because I talk about it in all my other videos too, but we're taking a trip to the Tail of Dragon. We're going to be there riding between, me and my buddy Motos and Mullets, going to be there riding between July 6th through July 8th are the actual days we'll be riding. We're getting there late the 5th and leaving early on the 9th. So we're riding between the 6th and the 8th. But yeah, if you're going to be in that area, hit me up on Instagram, whatever. We'll meet, maybe, take a ride on the Dragon together or give out some stickers, pet some babies, whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, it'll be a good time either way, but let me know. And then that's about it, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know what you think about all this. I am very happy with how everything has turned out. Thank you guys all so much for watching and giving enough credibility to these videos and my channel. I appreciate every single one of you, and I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you very, very much. And until the next time, guys, ride safe, have fun. Dad out.